You're live. You're live, honey.
Hey guys, Gabe LTV, Big Man Comics Live. How you doing? Welcome in. Welcome in. Hit the like, hit the share. We're gonna have a great time today. Happy Monday. I hope you're doing good. I got up early to take my car to a mechanic. I got up really early, and he didn't show up on time, so he wasted my morning. Thank you. Car's running fine. I just have a little issue that I'm trying to deal with. Not a big deal or anything like that. But yeah, it was lame. I'm out there at like 7 something in the morning. Got into that weird social thing you get into where you don't want to be overly aggressive and weird with people, but you got to stand your ground, so it gets kind of weird. So, you know, I show up at 7:45 at the mechanic. He opens his doors at 8. And then and I'm parked 3 or 4 spots away from the front door. Then some lady shows up in her SUV and parks in front of the front door. And, it gets to be after 8. He starts to open the door. It's like 8:05. And I'm talking to my wife who came in another car to pick me up as I was going to leave the truck there. And I told him, yeah, he's supposed to be here. He's late. And the lady in the other car who parked closer to me but got there after me, she said, yeah, I'm waiting for him too. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, bitch, well, I was here first. So if you think you're going to talk to him before I do, you're mistaken. No, obviously I didn't do anything. I didn't say anything. I was smiling. But you guys all know that. You know that thing where you're waiting in line and someone kind of shows up and if you're not aggressive, they're going to cut in front of you. And I don't even think they're trying to be a jerk. They're just kind of not everyone, it's out to lunch, just kind of not thinking about it. But we both ended up leaving. We both ended up leaving because the guy never showed up. So there you go. So there you go. That was this morning. Okay. I'm glad I got up real early and didn't get enough sleep, and I'm now tired and a little grouchy because I was waiting for this mechanic who didn't show up. I would hope it was him being irresponsible. We didn't actually have like an actual problem or something in his own life. I don't know the guy, never met him, don't even know his name. But I got to thinking about that. I'm like, what is this guy hungover, screwing around? I thought, oh God, what if something bad happened to him on the way to work, God forbid. So then I felt kind of bad about getting upset about it. So like, whatever. It's So that was my morning. How's everyone else's morning going?
Well, we have, let's see if I say this right. Ungoy boy.
Ungoy.
Ungoy boy.
No, ungoy.
Ungoy.
It's that Asian the nung that's in the nose. Ungoy.
Ungoy boy.
Okay. It means ugly boy.
Says, what a horrible name. It says, hail.
Hail.
Antonia 707 says, hail Gabe, Mrs. E in chat. And Ngoy Boy says, got to meet Manny Pacquiao today. I'm still hyped off that experience.
Ooh, nice. Nice. One of the great missed opportunities in the history of boxing. Him and Money Mayweather not fighting in their prime.
Right.
So refreshing. I mean, they fought. Mayweather won, whatever. Mayweather's probably a better fighter, sure, but they never fought in their prime. I guess we'll never know. It's kind of lame that they fought way after their prime. I think Mayweather knew that if anyone could beat him, it would be Manny. So he didn't fight him in his prime on purpose, Because Mayweather's undefeated. He's one of the few boxers that's undefeated, So I guess that's career-wise, that's smart of him. But always going to be disappointed we didn't get to see them fight in their prime. So whatever. It's better than having real problems, I guess.
Yeah, he was really good in
Pacquiao?
Yeah, Pacquiao. Well, and Mayweather.
For a few years, Pacquiao was great.
I think that would have been epic to see the two of them fight.
When they finally fought, it was disappointing because you're like, okay, Mayweather won. And if I had to guess, I would think Mayweather would have won in their prime, but you can't say that. You don't know.
Right.
So, yeah.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What do you think about comic book crossovers? Because apparently Marvel and DC are going to have some crossover.
Yeah, they're going to do that Marvel DC thing. I think as a storyteller myself, any story can be good if the execution is there. So if the writers, the artists, the creators execute well, then it'll be good. If not, it'll be bad. That's the most general, obvious answer. In general, about crossovers, I'm fine with it. Customers kind of like it and don't like it. It's kind of a love-hate thing because it is a marketing gimmick and it kind of feels that way where like you got to buy Batman and you got to buy Wonder Woman and you got to buy Teen Titans and you got to buy the special crossover issue and the annual and this and that to get the whole story. I think that's fun if they limit it. I think if they're doing it all the time, it can be a mess. In the 90s, there were crossovers constantly. But I think if they do it once a year or something like that, a big fun crossover in the summer or something like that, that can be fun. It is kind of weird if say you're reading Batman every month and there's a story that's 6 or 9 issues long, and then it gets interrupted by the crossover, right? Because the next issue of Batman is chapter 8 of the 14-part crossover, and then you come back to the regular story like a month or two later when the crossover's over. That is bad. That's bad planning by editorial. They need to plan that out better. And that's happened occasionally where the regular story gets interrupted for a crossover. So, but the unfortunate thing that the adult opinion about art is that it is a business. Delusional people try and tell you it's not a business. It's art, blah blah blah. Like that'd be nice. It'd also be nice if ice cream gave you 6-pack abs. That's just not the real world. And it's a business, and it costs money to do this. And if you want to do it, you need to make money, and that goes for Warner Brothers too. Not just me. Anybody that wants to do this, you have to make money doing it. So you do have to have business considerations when you do it. So crossovers can be fun if done correctly. They can be a mess if they're done incorrectly.
In the past, when you bought comic books, did you ever buy crossovers?
Of course, yeah.
Which ones? What was your favorite?
There was a great one in the late 90s. Brian Cunningham, our old friend, was the editor for a lot of it. It was Nightfall. And there was a giant earthquake that destroyed Gotham City. And then Gotham City became kind of like a Mad Max Escape from New York scenario, where it was lawless. And I think there was a wall built around it. This is 25 years ago, this thing. But it was in a zillion books. There were probably 20 chapters of it all across the Batman books, Detective Comics, Robin, Nightwing. It was in every Bat book. And I think some regular DC books too. I don't know if it was in Superman, but it took over the DC universe for a while there. It wasn't called Nightfall. Nightfall was the one where he got his back broken. What was this one called?
And this was a crossover with Gotham
Batman and Bane. And I think Bane took over the city. He became like the crime lord of this Mad Max sort of Gotham City. What was that called? I don't even remember that. I called it Nightfall, but that's not what it was. Nightfall was earlier in like 1996, where Batman got his spine fractured or injured by Bane. And then John Paul Valley, I believe he was Azrael. He took over being Batman for a while, like in 96. We had a different person actually wearing the bat suit, and it was a different bat suit.
Oh.
But that was Nightfall. But that's a famous, Graham Nolan did the cover where Bane is smashing Batman over his knee.
Now,
what is the name of that? Where there was an earthquake? I don't remember.
I'll try to look it up.
That's all right.
I know you don't buy comics anymore, but if you did, which
I was a comic book. How would you read it? We should turn this into a dating game. How was your favorite comic book? How would you store me in your garage? A serial killer question.
Would you wear gloves?
Put you in the freezer.
Would you put me in a bag? No. Which crossover would you like to see?
Would I like to see?
Yeah.
Gotta think of a character I hate and a character I like, and the character I hate just being obliterated. Oh, I'd like to see Lobo destroy Deadpool.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. I will always hate Deadpool. I will never back down from that. That is the worst movie ever made. Besides the one where Arnold Schwarzenegger has a baby, Junior. That is the actual worst movie ever made. But Deadpool's the second worst movie ever made.
Wait a second. I thought you recently watched a movie that beat out the...
Oh, Madam Web? We said that was the worst movie ever because it pissed me off. But I think it's not the worst movie ever, Madam Web, because it's so bad it doesn't count as a movie. It didn't even qualify as like a TV show from UPN or the CW.
It's pretty
horrific,
bad.
Madam Web. It's like it's
so it can't be in the running.
The star of that movie, Dakota Johnson, she said that movie was horrible and can't believe it. So.
Oh, that's bad. If the star of their own movie says it's bad.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like the chef telling you not to come inside the restaurant.
Don't eat here, guys.
Yeah.
What about the waiter at Denny's in Greeley when you were in college?
The weird Denny's. There was a weird Denny's by my university. It was like the What was that thing in the Rudolph claymation, the Island of Misfit Toys? There was this Denny's by my university, and when you're in college, if you went to college, or you don't even have to be in college, but when you're in your early 20s, your late teens, you go out for pancakes at 3 a.m. It's just a thing people do. And this Denny's had a lot of characters working there, a lot of weird people. Not sure if they were a little disturbed, take drugs, had just an interesting mentality, these people that work there. And one of the guys who was a waiter, he seemed like half mentally touched and then half like gay, And he was joking with me and my brother about how much he hated Denny's. And I've used this line he said for years as just like a joke for bad companies. He said that Denny's slogan should be "Eat here, see if I can." And I always thought that was hilarious. But he sounded kind of like that voice. I don't know what voice that is. I heard it in cartoons growing up.
The Mad Hatter.
Kind of like the Mad Hatter, but higher pitched. And he was a little cross-eyed. I'm not making any of this up. I can still see him in my head. He had like curly black hair, and he was a little cross-eyed, and he had the Denny's apron on. And he was just joking with me and my brother about how much he hated waiting tables at Denny's.
As he waited tables.
As he waited on me and my brother, bringing us pancakes late into the night, early into the morning. Not unlike Hopper's Nighthawks.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, that's Hopper's Nighthawks.
I don't.
The Nighthawks is that famous painting by Hopper of the people in the cafe. Everyone has seen it.
I have to look it
up. You've seen it. Everyone has seen it.
I'll look it up.
It's a green diner. The inside of the diner is yellow. And there's about 4 people in there. And there's 2 big coffee kettles. There's some buildings in the background. And you'll see. Nighthawks. Just write the Nighthawks and it'll come up.
All right. The Nighthawk. And then
remind me about the ninja at IHOP when I was in college, and I'll tell everyone about the ninja. Did you find it?
I did. I don't think I've seen this.
How on earth have you not seen that? That's like saying you haven't seen Michelangelo's David. It's one of the most famous paintings in American history. I'm an artist.
How I grew up. I have never seen this.
That photo is constantly referenced. People always copy that photo. It's kind of like a little wink and another. You gonna show the audience?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Because it's really bad radio if we talk about this image and then we don't show
them. I'm going.
So anyway, here's another 3 a.m. college pancake story.
There you go, guys.
I have 2 more. That's the Nighthawks. I went to IHOP with my brother. We would switch it up. Sometimes Denny's, sometimes IHOP. My brother was already out of college. He graduated before I went. He's only a year older than me, but I didn't go to college for 4 years after I graduated high school. I was late going to college. But I went to IHOP with my brother. And there were 2 very stereotypically nerdy, portly gentlemen 2-3 tables away from us.
I do know.
And this fat guy, imagine that son on the Family Guy show, the one that talks like this, and he has the blonde hair, and he always has I think he has a baseball hat or something. And a guy that looked like a fat blonde guy, just a slob, just a total slob. And I don't care if you're at IHOP at 3 a.m, have some decorum. You look like a pig. And he was eating his omelet in the most disgusting fashion. I just wanted to stop him and tell him to leave. He had the cheese in the omelet from the omelet to his lip. And it was just a string of goo. And he just talking like Jabba the Hutt with his mouth full. And I couldn't, I kept just looking at the guy. Would you stop it? And, I looked at him enough because he's still gross. And then I overheard him. I wish I was making this up. He said to the other slob that he was eating omelets with, "My sensei told me 2 more tests and I will officially be a ninja." I kid you not. You can ask my brother.
Maybe he's done stuff to you and you didn't even know because he's a ninja.
Right. The thing about ninjas is they are assassins. Still alive.
Oh, shoot.
Ninja me.
Oh, shoot.
Further, ninjas are silent and sneaky. This guy was an elephant, covered in cheese, all right? He wasn't sneaking around anywhere. He couldn't sneak up on himself, this guy, okay?
Maybe the last two tests were getting down to a weight and step that you were sneaky.
Oh, that was just yeah. Yeah. Maybe the last step was not having half a pound of Gouda hanging from his mouth. Disgusting.
That's a nice story.
It was gross. At that same IHOP, my friend turned 21. We were in college. My friend Mehdi. You're out there, Mehdi. Hello. He turned 21 in college. Hold on. It wasn't a small university in Northern Colorado, but it wasn't huge. It was 10,000 students. Whatever. It's a state school. But everybody, it's like Cheers. Everybody knows your name. Everybody knows everybody. And there were only like 4 or 5 popular bars. It wasn't like a bigger university where there's, 20 or 30 bars in the college hangout area. So we went out to the bars that night and everyone bought Mehdi a shot. And I remember they were 50-cent tequila shots. This poor kid. He's a big guy like me. He was as tall as me. Mehdi was like 6'4" like me. And he was really, really drunk. And we went to that same IHOP after the bar, 2 a.m. And he fell asleep on the table with his forehead on a salt shaker. It's very impressive. He was bouncing. And we were eating pancakes, my brother and I, hanging out. And then Mehdi awoke and said he was going to empty the contents of his stomach. And we were closer to the front door than the bathroom. I said, run outside. He ran outside, and it was, even though it was 2 a.m, there were lots of people. There was a college town, lots of kids there eating their pancakes at 2 a.m. And he ran outside, so he didn't throw up in the restaurant. That's good. The bad part is when he ran out, for some inexplicable reason, he spun around and faced the building again instead of just throwing up in the bushes. And he threw up on the glass of the IHOP, all kinds of food. It looked like Chinese stir fry, I think he must have had for dinner. Because I remember he threw up when we got in my car. We drove away. I drove to take him home. He threw up out the window of my car on the side, and there was a piece of celery like 2 inches long.
Oh, gosh, that's so gross.
And I asked him, do you even chew your food? There's a 2-inch piece of celery in this. What are you doing? So, he lived.
That's the end of the story. He lived.
He lived. He threw up all over the window, and everyone inside was aghast. As they, you know what we needed? We needed that ninja. That ninja could have ferried him out the front door before he barked everywhere.
And gotten him home safely.
Right. I think that ninja dishonored his family and had to commit seppuku.
Yeah.
So those are the exciting stories when you go to college, guys.
I wish I had more exciting stories from college, but I don't have any.
I was a married 3-job student. I was not a college student like in the normal way. Because, the college, it's weird to me, even though I was only 21 when I started, they're kids, the college students. Some of them are 17. You're 21, right. You're 17. And at that age, with a wife and 2 kids, that is a big deal. That is a big difference.
Yeah, so I think I was like 27 or 28 when I went to the university there.
When you started or when you finished?
No, in the middle there.
That's good. Just pick them up.
I think I was a junior, but I started as a junior because I had gotten my 2-year degree from the local junior college. Yeah, so I have a liberal arts degree from there. A degree in nothing. A degree in wasting my money. But I remember that I felt so old, even though I was only 27 at the time, because the kids looked so young. And that's where I met my girlfriend, Alana. And she's like a year.
Why do women call their friends that are girls girlfriends? Men don't call their friends boyfriends. What would you think if I told you, I'm going to dinner with my boyfriend tomorrow?
But when I'm going out with my friends, I don't say I'm going with my girlfriend.
I know, but all women do this.
I don't
my
know.
Girlfriend. It's like, I don't call my friends my boyfriend. Hey, me and my boyfriend Jericho have a show tomorrow.
Please don't say that.
No, he's been my boyfriend for like 3 years.
It sounds
I got all kinds of boyfriends.
It sounds okay when women say it. It doesn't sound right when men say it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I met my friend there, and she's like a year or 2 older than me. And
I'm not telling you not to say it.
We felt like we were, I'm going to say in our 40s or 50s, now that I'm in my 40s, the end of my 40s. And it was weird. They looked super young to us. And I feel like they also thought we were old because we were almost 10
Well,
years
and it's a
older
real
than
different
them.
mindset, many of them coming, because it was very white, middle to middle upper class, the kids I interacted with. And you and I were very poor and had to go to the junior college to qualify to get into the university. So if you're dealing with someone who grew up in Boulder, which is affluent, or many parts of Denver are affluent, and they weren't all wealthy, some were middle class, poor, this and that. But there were other students at the university that were like, I couldn't relate to them at all because of the way they grew up. And I didn't have a problem with them, but like their life, their worldview, their experience is totally different from mine.
Right.
And I would run into that, and they were through no fault of their own, I suppose, just the fault of the calendar and circumstance. Pretty immature. They were still goof off, they were basically high schoolers, you know.
Yeah, they were pretty young. It was, and I feel like they thought we were old too.
Yeah.
But it was just a different experience because they're all young, right out of high school. And here I am. I'm only, 8, 9, 10 years older than them. But I've been married, have kids in elementary school. So I'm like lifetimes ahead of them,
Right.
at least in that aspect, not in the education aspect. But yeah, so I know some of them would ask me like, how do you do it? How do you have a job and kids and like still make it to class? But we had something to lose, so
Right.
that's how it ended up. Rem Dog says hello, or I'm sorry, hey all.
Hey all.
And we've got Master Swag King says hi.
Hello.
And let's see. Going back to Madam Web,
Ugh.
Antonia 707 says, so bad. The movie was so bad that Dakota fired her manager.
Yeah.
And then we've got Ramdog commenting on Nighthawks. So the theme that Hopper always explored, or I guess Hopper always explored, was solitude and loneliness to a pervasive, almost annoying extent.
Yeah. So many of his paintings, they're very lonely paintings. You'll have literal and figurative isolation. Just he's exploring themes of loneliness.
Then we have Justin Weeks says, shout out to everyone in the chat. Good morning.
Morning.
And then you got a question from Agent Cub.
Agent Cub.
What book is this you're working on?
This is the Unstoppable Tyrus. If you like the Incredible Hulk, if you like Ninja Turtles, you see there's a lot of half man, half beasts, or as I call them, mana beasts. That's a lot of who Tyrus is going to be fighting in this. It's a lot of fun. Tyrus is a friend of mine, Fox News host Tyrus, and he loves comics. And we talked and came up with this, and it's a great book. It's really one thing you'll find about my writing. Anyone that's actually read what I've done, it's deep. It's not surface level, bam, bam, punch, punch. We go deep on the psychology and the emotion and the themes on it. We go very deep, and we have a ton of fun. It's a spectacle visually. We always want to make the books as beautiful as possible, but we make sure you get your dollars worth as far as entertainment and thought-provoking and entertaining stuff. So this is the Unstoppable Tyrus. These are many of those animal beasts, and I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's nice.
It is. Animation Overlord says, hey, Gabriel, how you doing?
Pretty good. Hey, will you hide my iPad for a minute? Because I want to dig into something and show them something, but I don't want to show them.
Give me one.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, hide it. Just tell me when you're hiding it so I can dig through some menus here. You hiding it or not?
No, not
Click
yet.
the eyeball of iPad.
Yes, but hang on a sec. It shows the whole garage when I do that.
Oh, well, don't do that. Yeah, that's a mess. You can't just turn off. Like, just don't show anything. Can you just?
How do I stop virtual camera?
I suppose.
Hold on.
No.
Okay, we're out.
Okay, jeez.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about while you're looking for that. So this weekend, Gabe and I took Big Baby to go see some goats and pigs and some chickens at this old ranch.
Okay, I'm done. You can put it back up.
It's like a historical.
Is this going to be a while?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Show them something, and then and then I'll let you finish the story.
These are the covers. This is one cover for Empyrean. Akeon did a cover too, but this is my cover for Empyrean. And I actually have these printed up. I printed up proof copies, mail them out to influencers and friends of mine to please give it a read and give it a review, because I want you guys, when you back this, to know that it's good already. A, it's done, right? We're not waiting years to get a book. B, is it any good? Well, people are going to tell you, people that are not me, people that have not been paid by me. I just sent them a copy of the book and said, if you love this, give it a review. So, yeah, I was talking to the great Mike Barron this morning. If you know Mike Barron at all, tell him to come to San Diego Comic-Con. He really wants to come. We were talking this morning. I want to host him at my booth. I love Mike. He deserves the honor and respect, and I think it would be great. And I sent him a copy of this morning. Is why I was thinking of Mike. But yeah, that's Empyrean, Earth Illuminated. And then here, look at this new cover I colored up last week or the week before for the Unstoppable Tyrus. How great does that look?
Beautiful.
So you're wondering what this book is. This is what we're doing here. You like chaos? You like action? You like that we have to put in Tyrus's tattoos in every image he's in? So I created a document. I bought an action figure of Tyrus. I took a bunch of photos of it, and then I drew all of his tattoos and put them on. I bought this on eBay. Okay. This is the first time I looked at the back of this. It says Funkasaurus on the back with like a raptor's footprint. And I looked at all these tattoos, took photos of them, and drew them as a document. And then we paste them in after we draw it. I got it here. So, oh, here it is. Here's the document of his tattoos. Chest, arm right, arm left, arm inside right, arm inside left. That's what we have here. So I paste those and warp those to fit, because if you were to draw those into the page and ink them, it would really break up the muscles and the clothing and stuff like that. So the way we do it, the way I came up with it, is to just do him without any of it and then paste it in from my original drawing of the tattoos and then warp them to bend it around the muscles. I think, and then we fade it out. That way you can still see the rendering of the muscles and all that, but we fade the tattoos. But we wanted to get his tattoos because they're iconic. So that's the extra mile I'm going for you guys, because it would have been easy to just leave the tattoos out, right? It's a fictitious character. We don't have to have them. But I love the goat here. His name's Cormac. It's named after my favorite writer, Cormac McCarthy. And I won't give the rest away, but yeah, this is fantastic. So I made a short video, or like a 15-minute video, coloring this cover and just talking about art and some stuff like that. But this is going to be exciting. This will be coming after Empyrean. Empyrean, you're going to be able to pick that up at Comic-Con. The pre-order starts on my birthday, July 24th. But you're already going to know about it because I'm letting people read it now, and it's already, like I said, getting printed up. And when you guys crowdfund it, you can have the assurance that it's great and you'll get it in a timely manner. What more do you want? Why should you take all the risk? I don't like that. I think if you're doing indie stuff, you should take as much of the risk as you can. Some people got to fund from scratch, from zero. I get that. Financial situation is what it is for them. But since I don't have to do that, I'm not going to do that to you guys because I love you and I appreciate you. So that's where we are on that stuff. I'm so excited. Also, I'm having a big party at Comic-Con, as I always do. And we're going to have some special guests there that you can meet. My friend owns a bunch of awesome restaurants in San Diego. He's letting us use one. It's going to be Saturday during the San Diego convention, Comic Convention. Saturday, July 26th. Neurotic will be there. The guys from Film Threat will be there. And I'm not sure who else might or might not be there, but it's always a great time. This will be our 9th or 10th party we've done to celebrate Comic-Con. It's Gabe Eltave's Comic Kickoff Party. It was kickoff usually because it was Wednesday night to kick off the whole show. I don't know. I'll call it something else this year. But yeah, we're going to be talking more about that. Me, Gary Nerdrotic, Alan, and Chris from Film Threat, and maybe some other guests. Other people are traveling to Comic-Con. We'll see. And we'll be announcing the details on that after the 4th of July holiday. And we'll put out an event, right? You got to RSVP for tickets and all that. But it's going to be a really fun night. You're going to come meet us in person and just have a great time. My friend's restaurant, bar, places, they're awesome. He really knows his business on that. So yeah, that's exciting. Official announcements coming after the 4th of July. So there you go.
So along those lines, Agent Cub is asking, are you setting up at SDCC this year?
Oh yeah, I have a booth. I've had a booth I had an artist alley table for like 10, 15 years. I had it for a long time, but I got a real booth, like a 10 by 10 booth. I got that 2 years ago. This will be my 3rd year with that booth for my company. So yes, we'll be there, and you can come up, you can get comics, you can get autographs, you can hang out. Gary Neurotic will be autographing. Chris and Alan from Film Threat will be autographing. I think Porter Black Garrett, if he comes to town, he'll be there. I'm trying to get some other people. Mike Barron, I want him to come. I talked to him on the phone this morning. I would love to host him at my booth. And of course, me. You come and meet me and check out what we're doing. We're having fun. Nobody's having more fun than us. So.
What's your booth number?
My booth is 1705. What's your booth number?
My booth number is 1705.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's going to look real nice this year. We're trying to set up some new details for the booth.
Right.
Yeah, hoping to
Yeah,
improve it each year.
To that printer guy this morning.
Okay.
The banner and the tablecloth and all that. So.
Agent Cub also wanted you to know that when I took the iPad off for a second, he saw everything.
Good. I'm just sitting here in my garage. My garage is my studio. That's what I do here. So.
And earlier when we were talking about being in college as older students, Remdog 1138 says, I was about 15 to 20 years older than everyone in my cohort at Ohio State.
Wow. At the Ohio State.
The Ohio State.
So annoying.
I only know that.
Remdog, I'm happy every time Michigan beats Ohio State, by the way. I know that hurts you deeply. I'm sorry. And it's for the silliest of reasons. Because I don't really like Michigan either. But when I was in high school, the 3-time CIF champions of football, my high school, twice when I went there. Our fight song to this day is Hail to the Victors. It is the Michigan fight. It's the same song as Michigan. So when I found that out when I was young, it kind of made me like Michigan. So there you go.
I forgot you told me that. Remdog said, call it the dead dog -1, since it's not really the last day. When I was conning, we called the after party dead dogging.
Yeah, the guy that owns Graffiti Designs that does all the comic book shirts, he does the dead dog party at San Diego Comic-Con at a bar right there in the gas lamp. I've been to that once. But I feel like nobody wants to do that on the last day. People want to go home.
Yeah, you're pretty exhausted.
So we're doing our Saturday because I think that's the night to do it, Friday or Saturday. Friday is the Eisner Awards. So Saturday, I think, is a great night to do it.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. It'll be our first time having it on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell a story of going to the ranch house?
What's the story about it?
When we were leaving?
I guess it's a pretty short story, though. Went to a historical site in San Diego yesterday where there was a ranch house from the 1700s, the first Mexican land grant in the San Diego area from the late 1700s, and it's a very historical place. It's on the registry of U.S. historical buildings or whatever. Anyway, when we went to leave, a giant brush fire broke out, and that's the whole story. I'm not sure my wife wanted me to tell you that.
It's kind of crazy.
The firemen came by and put it out. So,
well,
we left before the fire got huge, but it was bad when we were leaving.
It was moving fast.
It was a big field of dry brush, so that's about right.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty exciting and a little bit scary.
Where were you when the fire started? Do you think it's so exciting?
I was walking in my car at just the right time. But we
were walking to our car to leave, and this guy comes flying around the corner, and there just happened to be one of the park ranger guys walking around the building at the same time that we were near, and he said, "Hey man, there's a fire over there." And the park ranger's like, "Oh my God, where? Call 911." And the park ranger ran back into the building, came running out with 2 fire extinguishers, and then ran like 50 yards ahead of us. And I could see smoke coming over a building. And as you got around the corner of the building, you could see the fire. And I saw and heard the park ranger just turn around and start running back. He goes, "Fuck!" like that. And he had the 2 fire, because the fire was probably 50 feet long and jumping 20 feet high, like 5 or 20 feet. It was kind of pulsing. But the good news is it was away from the historical buildings and, animal pens and all that, and away from homes in a field that was probably 100, 150 yards wide and many hundreds of yards long. So, and then a bunch of fire trucks came as we were leaving the neighborhood. A bunch drove in. So, and when I checked the news at night, it wasn't on the news. So they must have put the fire out right away. But it could have been really bad, because if it went up that hill, it would have torched those homes.
Right.
So
It's just interesting because growing up here, every year California was on fire. Every year since I've been a little kid, California is on fire
well,
one way or another.
many parts are a desert.
Right.
You know, so.
But so I have another question for you. I don't know if this guy is a like a well-known artist, but I read it said Gloucester artist Nick Engel.
It's called Gloucester.
Oh,
I know it's spelled Gloucester, but it's Gloucester.
Gloucester. Do you know who that is?
Who? Nick Engel?
Yeah.
No idea.
It just says he warns AI could replace comic illustrators.
No shit.
Um,
Did he just wake up from a coma? We've known this for like 2 years already.
right, but I'm wondering, like, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think it can truly replace like 100%?
No, absolutely not. I mean, can it make a whole book by itself? Of course. And it'll be able to make stuff as good or better. Of course it will. But it will never be human like we are. But I think for the mass market, yeah, they're going to do that. And I think Disney and Warner Brothers are going to do that. If they cut out the cost of writing and drawing these things and they can get them done for free, that's a dream for them. Then they just have to do printing and shipping and advertising. And I think they will. I definitely think they will. But that's not why you make this stuff. And there will always be an audience, at least now. When you have generations and generations now that grow up without the real stuff, they'll be fine buying the AI slop. But there's still, in our lifetimes, will be plenty of people that love the real stuff. And what you love most about comics is the human part of it. That I'm an artist expressing myself in a human way. And AI will never be able to truly do that because even though it could mimic what we do, down to the last letter and line, we know it isn't real. So if I'm writing, say I'm writing an autobiography, right? I'm making an autobiographical comic about my time growing up in war-torn Somalia. You could have AI write it and be just as good. In a few years, it'll be just as good, better written, better art, but it didn't happen. And you know it, and I know it, and that matters if you're a true connoisseur of the human experience. So, you know, I think for that stuff of the whether this is actually real, because I always laugh at those guys that talk about those sex robots they're going to have one day.
Right.
And it's like, okay, you're going to get your female sex robot, whatever. This is perverted. You know it isn't real, though.
Right.
Like, what do you have this thing? I'm not going to get graphic. You have this thing in your house. And let's say you're kissing it. We'll just leave it at that. What are you going to do when you catch yourself in the mirror? How's that going to feel when you know this is fake? You know?
Yeah.
Now, I know this is a boomer take because the young generation, they're used to living online. They're used to everything being fake. TikTok, Instagram, all of it is fake. Social media is fake, and they're fine with it. So I think in the future, the AI will completely replace the arts because they won't have any appreciation of real art made by real people. They'll just be used to getting the AI slop, and they'll be fine with it because it'll be all they know. So I don't see that happening for, a while, because as long as the people who love the real stuff are alive, they're going to want the real stuff, So that's my opinion on that. Could be wrong. We'll have to wait and see. It's like the Tesla robotaxi thing. I think that thing is going to replace cars in a couple generations. For people who never drive, they'll never understand why you like to have your own car. And you can just get on your phone, on your app, and like the Tesla robotaxi comes to your house, picks you up, takes you where you need to go, and that's the end. Why do I need a real car? Eventually, there'll be people who grow up like that, so they just won't even care. But the people like us who grew up owning and driving a car, we're always going to want a car. So the people that grew up with real art are always going to want real art because they see the value in it and appreciate and enjoy the value in the humanity of the art. But again, that guy kissing his robo girlfriend, you're not going to be embarrassed if you see yourself in the mirror.
I saw or heard a story, I don't remember where, about this guy asked his AI girlfriend to marry him.
And she said, I have to think about it.
She said yes.
She was cheating on him with a toaster or something.
However, his real girlfriend that he lived with was wondering why he had to get an AI girlfriend and thought maybe she was doing something wrong.
Well,
I don't even know what to say about that. That's just,
Why did he ask his AI girlfriend to marry him?
why does he have an AI girlfriend if he has a real girlfriend
None of
that he
this
lives
makes-
with?
This is all stupid. I thought the future was going to be like Star Wars. There were a bunch of jackasses trying to make love to a PlayStation or something. Ugh.
So going back to the AI art, I know right now you, and maybe it's because you're an artist, can spot AI art like immediately.
Yeah, there's tells. A lot of people think they can spot it and they can't. People accuse people of AI and they're wrong. But I can spot it because I know intimately how to make this stuff, so I know what it's supposed to look like. And I know what, I mean, I've always spotted tracing and, paint overs and stuff for decades. As long as
Right.
I can see who's doing stuff like that. It's very easy to see.
Yeah, we were just looking at a graphic novel when we went to that convention, and you flipped through it and you immediately stopped and said, "Look at this." You were so disgusted,
Yeah.
saying they put in a real photograph of
Photograph
these
of a
mountains.
mountain range, which is one of the easiest things to draw. A mountain range, you just go like, just some pointy lumps. And then you texture it with the paintbrush in the color. Like of all the backgrounds you could copy, why a mountain? That one's the easy one to draw. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought that was just crazy because you literally were just flipping
Well,
through it and that stood out to you. And I feel like if I read that book, I might not have noticed.
Well, one thing about working at a high level at anything is people don't understand that almost all of it is mental. They think, oh, he's a baseball player. It's physical. No, it's not. It's mental. He's an artist. So it's his hands and his eyes, and everything is just mental. Learning to draw isn't hard. Like moving the pencil, the skill of a pencil stroke, a paintbrush stroke, that's very easy to learn. What to draw, why to draw it, how to draw it, the angle, it's mental. I just sent some stuff to my mentor, Akia. He does a lot of layout work for me, and he's like my mentor in drawing. It's master apprentice kind of thing. And I sent him a sketch I'm working on for my own new Tyrus cover. And I don't like the back. I think he's a little stiff in my cover. And I asked him, help me out with this. Show me like a sketch of how you would handle it. I said, but more than that, could you please write and explain to me how to think better about gesture? I understand anatomy and perspective and lighting and the brush stroke and blah, 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 blah. So, but sometimes the character's a little stiffer than I want. And I want to know, is it too many muscles? Is it too many, I asked him, write to me, how do you think about gesture in the most simple way? And, hopefully I wrote him just like 20 minutes ago. So, or, before the show came on. So he'll write to me back, but it's mental is what the problem is for everything, because that all of this is mental. The skill of drawing with your fingers is actually the easiest part, I think.
Do you think the mental part is sort of like when you're playing a sport and you have muscle memory versus when you're like
No,
actively thinking about it?
no. The mental part is choosing what to do. I know to do this in this moment. And it's also your mental health. For instance, people who are very insecure in their artists, they're going to think about external validation as they make their art. They're going to make artistic choices based on, will the audience clap for this? Not, do I love this? When you make something as an artist, it's like, do I love this is the only thing you should be thinking. Not, oh, will they think I'm good? Will they think I'm smart? I'll put more and more and more details to show everyone I'm competent and I can draw little details. Like there's a reason so many teenage boys, when they're drawing, it's overly detailed, because to leave out details is weak and shows you don't have skills. And that's a mental issue. To leave out details actually is a strength and makes your work a lot stronger, but people, you have to grow past that. And it's a confidence thing. And confidence only comes from mastery. And mastery comes from hard work and repetition. So, but yeah, and you have to be aware of your psychology. Like you can't just be drifting through life as anything, but especially as an artist, because it's going to affect the way you work and the way you draw and the way you write and everything if your psychology is messed up, Because if I'm like, well, don't draw it this way because that's not cool or that's not in style or whatever, like artistically right now, like you can't do stuff like that. You have to, as Shakespeare said, be true to thine own self. Because at the end of it all, no one's going to live your life. And the people that will be haters or whatever, make fun of your art or this or that, really, they don't care. Secondarily, they're not right. Third, it doesn't even matter what they say. This is your work. You're doing it. And it just, who gives a shit what they have to say about it? Who are they? It doesn't even matter. You cannot let anyone's opinion of you matter at all because it doesn't. And not even like in an emotional, like after school special way. Let's just make it scientific. If I praise you or criticize you, does it change the reality of you? Let's just take athletics. If I said to you listening right now, you're the fastest man in the world, aren't you? Could you beat the Olympic sprinters now because I said that? No, it doesn't come true because I said it. And if I said you were the slowest person in the world, is that now true? No. So if I say you're dumb or a bad artist or whatever, it's a noise coming out of my mouth. It is not objectively necessarily the truth. So you shouldn't care what people say. You really shouldn't. You mustn't care what they say. It's just nonsense. Everyone has an opinion, and the biggest assholes always seem to have the most to say. So
right. And if you think about it too, these people just, and I'm talking about online, they'll criticize something about you, your art, whatever it is, and then they go about their day.
yeah,
They're not thinking about you anymore. And you get left there with these comments, and you can either, dwell on it or just say that's nobody saying nothing.
right. It's some letters typed on a screen by someone who I'm sure does not have much going on.
Right.
So,
Yeah, it's true.
I was talking to Mike Barron about that today, about like online drama and stupid shit like that. And he's just like, yeah, I don't engage in that, And I'm the same way. I just want to fight with someone on Twitter, please. Waste of time.
Yeah, it really is.
It's silly. I'm not so insecure that I need to win a Twitter argument, dude.
Well, and it doesn't improve your life.
Myself.
Yeah, it doesn't improve your life, and it's not real life online.
Right. It doesn't, but I don't need it. Like, you have to be insecure to need that. Ooh, I have to win the Twitter debate. You have to be very insecure to need that, to feel happy or okay. I'm not insecure that way.
Earlier, when you were talking about some drawing, because we were talking about AI art and if it's real or better or whatever, Ramdog 1138 says repetition is absolutely right. I've drawn Donald Trump so much that I can draw him without reference.
Oh, good. It's drawn him so much. One little bit loco.
Okay.
I like him saying loco.
I know. What about when he was eating Mexican food because he said he loved Mexicans or something? He was eating like Taco Bell or something.
No, he was eating a tostada bowl from his restaurant in Trump Tower.
Oh, okay.
And then he said, I love Hispanics.
Right.
You should have said, I love Latinas.
Right.
And then I would have believed him for sure.
Yeah, when you start breaking out Latina.
Who doesn't love Latinas? Now, see, that's a conundrum for you because you are Latina.
Right.
But you want me to cut the S off that word. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love Latina.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yes. That sounds perfect to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this saying in Spanish, or it's a joke meme or whatever, and it said, no pide ser Latina, nomás tuve suerte. And I didn't ask to be Latina. I was just lucky.
Oh.
And of course, the Latinas like that. It's kind of funny.
Okay.
It's funny. When I was younger, Latina was not really something that you called us. I know technically it's correct, but it wasn't thrown around the way it is now. Like, oh, she's Latina. Because we were all mostly Mexican. So I think they use Mexican. Oh, you'll like this, Gabe. Agent Cub says, you mean Latinx.
Right.
Or Latinx.
Right.
I hate that word. It's so...
You only hate it because of unrealized self-racism.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Some concept.
Well,
some concept an ugly fat white lady at a junior college
told me how I should feel.
Will tell you how you feel.
Well, what that's trying to do though is get rid of the feminine and the masculine in the language.
Yeah.
So now you're like attacking the Mexican language, like,
The Spanish language, by the way.
or yeah, the Spanish language. So, which is like so offensive. Like, we'll tell you what you call yourself in
You
English.
can't be offended. You have to be amused by these people. I know they're evil and destructive. You gotta treat
It
them
is
the
more
way they are.
amusing.
Treat them like the 3 or 4 year olds they are. What
Laugh.
would you do if a toddler came to you and declared they were going to do something? You just laugh at them. Like,
Right.
you're not,
Really?
I wouldn't cuss at a little kid, but to the adult, as you know, be like, you're not going to do shit. Like, I know you think you're already not going to do shit. Okay.
Right. Yeah. But yeah.
Or you could sing it to them. You won't do shit. Like show tunes. It'll make it really exciting for them.
I'd have to be able to sing to do that.
Can you not sing at all?
You know this.
Yeah.
I like the sadness in your voice. Yeah.
Your daughter can sing.
Beautifully. She has
me and my brother can both
huge,
sing,
she has
you
a
know?
huge range too.
Yeah, she's got a way better voice than me and my brother. And my brother's got a pretty good voice. I've got a pretty decent, good voice. I definitely can hear the notes and know them. That whole, is that concept of perfect pitch or whatever, where you understand notes like by ear? Like I have an ear for that. I grew up. I never talk about this, but I grew up with a ton of music in my life. I
Right.
should have been a musician and not an illustrator, the way my family did music. But they were so mean. Like military boot camp with the piano lessons when I was little. The minute I could get away from it, I did. It was like my Aunt Martha, rest in peace, was an intense woman and very mean to you as a piano teacher, brilliant piano teacher. But
Right. She made a living doing that.
Made it so unpleasant, my Aunt Martha, that I never wanted to go near it. And you know, I've kind of rekindled my love of music just recently. But I was always like loved music, but kept it at arm's length because of how unpleasant the piano lessons were when I was a child. You know.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy though, because you can kill that spirit of music or a love for something by making it a chore and a punishment instead. So it's kind of sad.
Very unpleasant.
However, her daughter, your cousin Nina, was a concert pianist.
Yeah, Nina was
beautiful.
But it wasn't from anything less than like, what's an abuse? It was very intense. Nina's piano upbringing from my aunt was very, very unpleasant. But Nina was probably one of the best musicians I've ever met in my life.
Right. But she could play the piano. She was a concert pianist. She played the accordion.
She could sing like you couldn't believe.
Yeah, she had a huge range too, which is how I know Minnie has a huge range, because she had Minnie sing and she was shocked. She goes, "Oh my gosh, she has as many octaves as me."
Yeah.
But no, she was amazingly just a talent and such an artist that way.
Yeah.
I have a question from Remdog. It says, I actually don't know what this is. Moxie, have you ever experienced discrimination from Mexicans that claim Spanish extraction? I saw that a lot when I lived in Albuquerque. I don't know what Spanish extraction is. Do you know, Gabe?
No, but yeah, I mean, from the context of the sentence, you could just tell it's like the Mexicans with the chip on their shoulder, La Raza, all the Reconquista, all the dumb bullshit like that. You know, it's just that.
I'm sorry. And the next thing he says, where they say, "I'm Mexican" or "I'm Spanish."
Wait, so, which do they say?
I'm sorry. I'm not Mexican. I read that wrong. I'm Spanish.
I don't know. I'm not interested in people's stupid opinions. You want to tell me something that's factually false just to be a jackass? Go for it. I don't have time for it.
But experience discrimination from Mexicans? Yes, I have. Sometimes and it's very, very rare, but yes. And it was basically that I wasn't Mexican enough.
Yeah, you get that. There's the crab in the bucket mentality, unfortunately, with some Mexican Americans. My grandfather experienced it. And my brothers told me he worked with some guys like that, where they're like, hey, you think you're white? You know, you're like, you making money and successful. Are you trying to be white? Like, no, I'm not trying to be white, jackass. I'm trying to have like a bank account. So, but my grandpa, you know, was very poor, very poor. His mother died when he was a baby. You know, his sisters all went to live with a different family, and him and his brother lived with a dad. And the dad, my great grandfather, couldn't make 2 nickels, I guess. They were always so poor. Finally, my grandpa in his late 20s, early 30s succeeded. Tortilla factory, Mexican restaurant, you know, all this stuff. But he was like 30 something by the time this happened. And he said the people in the town of Greeley, Colorado, the Mexicans ostracized him and my grandma and my mom and aunt and uncle, that they were white now. You think you're better than us. It's like, oh, go fuck yourself. But I remember my grandpa telling me about that when he was little. When I was little, he was telling me about that. And it's like, you know, you want to know how to have generational poverty and generational failure year after year? Have that mentality.
Right.
Oh, you're studying. You think you're white. Like, what?
Right. Or they're you know, they'll never accept you.
Right. Like, and who cares?
And I don't like that comment of they'll never accept you, because it's a very racist comment. And I've never been anything but accepted from white people. And like I all my friends are basically white, and not one of them have ever been racist against me, and can care less what my race is. Like, but I have been made like mocked. Like, I don't ever bring up that I have a college degree, but I have had people make comments to me about that I thought I was something because I had a college degree. And I always just think, like, I didn't even bring that up. You did. Like, that to me that doesn't make me.
Yeah, they're just projecting insecurity.
It is, but it's a comment.
But I've heard that from friends I have that are black. That the black community has the same thing. Oh, you think you're white now? Oh, you're an Oreo, black on the outside, white on the
Right.
inside. Blah, blah, blah. And you know, I was talking to somebody. I was like, you notice black guys don't wear glasses like almost ever. And it's like they gotta have like the same amount of people that need glasses. Is it like, oh, glasses are nerdy and like the whole studying and all that is shamed in some? Because like the Mexican and the black community have that same not that crab in the bucket thing. We're like, oh, you're trying to be white, you're trying to get an education, and you're like, and it's so terrible.
Yeah, I got teased for always reading as a kid, which is weird. I got teased. I remember my sister's friends. And I'll never forget. I was in elementary school or junior high, and they said, "Yeah, she even talks differently." And I didn't know what they meant until I was older. And it was because I mostly spoke English correctly, not with, because a lot of times when you're first generation Mexican and they speak Spanish in your home, you get these things, these sayings that are incorrect in English, but there's nobody in your house to correct you that says, hey, that's not how you say that. And one thing when I was in high school, that Gabe and his brother used to tease me, they still tease me till this day, but they used to tease me then, is I said, I was going to take the baby a bath. And they asked me, where was I going to take this baby to give them a bath? And I was just like, what? And nobody had ever mentioned to me. And it was because in my household, there was no one to correct me, to tell me I said that wrong. We also said things like sandwich instead of sandwich.
But English is your mom's first language.
English is my mom's first language. Well, I don't know if English is my mom's first language.
You think she learned Spanish at first when she was a baby?
She might have. And she also lived on the border, and they only spoke Spanish. And then she also lived in Mexico, Mexicali.
She was born in LA.
She was born in LA, but she was not raised in LA. She was raised in Calexico, Mexicali. And so obviously that's a border town. So there's a lot of Spanish.
Thing here in San Diego. It's not near San Diego. It's like, I don't know, is it 50, 100 miles to the east?
Yeah,
it's on
like
the border,
80 miles.
And the least creative person named these cities that are touching. They're on the border. There's one in Mexico and one in America, and they touch on the border. And the one in America is called Cal-Exco, California, Mexico. And the one in Mexico on the Mexican side is Mexicali.
Right.
It's the stupidest thing of all time.
So she grew up there. But so she, when I was younger, she could express herself better in Spanish and say things better in Spanish.
Espresso.
And yes, I think I've said
And it's espresso.
I'm trying to say
Italian for
espresso.
hey, let's do it fast.
And we used to say Mexican.
Mexican with a
T. With the T. Mexican.
I lived next door to these girls in the 80s. They lived next to my grandparents' Mexican restaurant. They were illegals. I remember that. And they would, there were some ice raids or something back in the 80s. And they were hiding out. I remember that. But they said
interesting.
Chocolate.
Yep.
And they would say choose for your shoes. And then there was a share to sit in a share and chicken. They were going to have chicken. And I remember all these little things they said incorrect. I mean, it's not their fault, you know. How well do I speak Spanish, right? So, but I remember as a kid, like hearing it, and it bothered me a little bit. Like, what's going on?
My mom said all of that. She would say,
"Do your chores,
do your chores,
clean the house,
and share that with your sister."
You got to chair the share.
Yeah.
When you sit in the chair it.
Well, look at Adam Carolla said the man in the Jello hat.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, but you know, my brother, I found out a couple years ago, my brother's first language was Spanish. I didn't know that because my first language is English.
You would never tell. Your brother speaks crystal clear English.
And he actually, maybe not now, but he of the four of us kids spoke Spanish the worst. And his first language, he said he had to. There was no ESL when he was started kindergarten, that you just had immersion, and he was glad for it because there was a big controversy, I guess, with the ESL classes. But he said that it was best to just stick him in class and force him to learn English, that he learned so quick as a kid. But I didn't know. When he told me that, I was like, what? I was so shocked because I just think we're so American in some ways, but you know, we have a lot of Spanish or Mexican culture. But
your brother was born here though, right? San Diego? Or
my brother, yeah, was born in LA also.
Oh, really?
In Artesia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's an outskirt of LA, I think, or in between LA and Anaheim. Not sure. Anyhow, you have anything left to say? Agent Cub, I'm not sure what your question is. It says Moxie. That is your name. Oh, he's saying I was being Moxie. Never mind. Anything you want to say before we go? We're about 5 minutes past.
No, just guys follow me on X on Big Man Comics. Here on YouTube, Gabe LT, Facebook, Instagram, same. TikTok, I'm Gabe, Big Man Comics 1, and head over to Big Man Comics and get yourself a copy of Dean Cain, American LAWMAN Volume 1, and be ready for the crowdfunded Imperium, and a lot of fun stuff happening at Comic-Con. July is going to be gigantic. Going to bring you all the great entertainment that you've been dying for, because Disney and Warner Brothers ruined it, and I am here to fix it. So, yeah, that's about it. That's all we have for today. We're here every Monday through Friday, 11 to noon Pacific. Tuesday night, 7 to whenever Pacific, doing improv comedy and reviewing movies. This week's movie is Dread, not the Stallone one. It's not the Stallone Dread. It's the Carl Urban Dread, which is actually a great action movie. Some people say it's a little derivative of The Raid, which is also an amazing action movie. We'll see. We'll get into it. We'll have fun. We'll break it down, make a little bit of fun of it, but I always have a great time. Guys, I will see you then. Hit the like.